Hello, members. This is Tom Morrison right here from Jacksonville, Florida, with the MTI headquarters here with Joe Bertagna. We're going to get to him in just a little bit. I want to tell y'all a little bit about our chat room to the bottom right. If you hover down at the bottom and you see it says chat, you can hit on that and you'll see a little chat box that will pop up on the right-hand side. If you have any questions, or myself or Joe, on any topic we discussed today on how to move military veterans from serving into your company, you let us know and we will address those questions. So a couple of things I want to get into before we get into the stuff with Joe is a couple of happenings with MTI. We have October 2nd to the 5th, our MTI fall meeting coming up. You're not going to want to miss that if you get an opportunity. We have 4 incredible speakers. The Education Committee has done a great job to bring together Dr. Rick Marks on emotional intelligence, because here's what's happening in the workplace is people are not leaving your company, they're leaving their boss. And if your boss doesn't have adequate training and the right skill sets, people are going to leave and go to somebody that does treat them in a way that's got a great work culture. We're going to be talking a lot about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is an incredible thing. Everybody's business is invasive, and people are out there trying to hack your company. So we're going to have Rick Espinosa, one of the leading experts on cybersecurity. And on day 2, we're going to have what's called fireside discussions, where we're going to talk about 3 top topics that you tell us as an attendee you want to talk about with your peers. And then we're going to have a guy come in, Greg Schwinn. He's one of the top corporate humorists out there, going to talk about live, work, and laugh. He's going to show you the funny side of working and laugh and life balance. It's going to be a great, energetic meeting in Vancouver, Canada, at the Fairmont Hotel right downtown. We just came from the planning meeting there, and it is outstanding what you're going to see there in Vancouver. So put it on your calendar, October 2nd through the 5th, and look forward to being there. So the second thing is our Facebook page. On your app, pull your phone out, go to the MTI Facebook page. We are now posting out daily, 1 or twice a day, all the big happenings going on in MTI. We have things happening every day in Technical Standards Committee, NADCAP, ASTM, education, benchmarking, and just meetings in general, just things going on with MTI. You'll be able to see the highlights every single day up to the minute of what's going on. And then you look at our YES program. Our YES program is 50% sold out, one of the top training programs in all of manufacturing. We've been selling that out now for about 7 years. We're in our 12th year, and it is incredible the reactions we get from people. So get your leaders prepared. We've only got about 15 slots left. It will sell out before October. You're going to want to get your people in. You can go out to heattreat.net and click on the claiming button and look at YES Management Training Program and see all the details there. And lastly, one of the things that will lead into our discussion with Joe is our online training. If you are not involved in our online training site, MTI Online Training, you have to do that. Go to mtiacademy.com and check it out. We have 4 certificate programs, including safety and workplace management. You'll want to get your team out there. Training today, managers don't have the time to micromanage employees. So it's imperative that your people have the proper training to do their jobs without a lot of micromanagement. So that's where you can get it, is mtiacademy.com. So that leads us in today to be here with Joe Bertagna from Recruit Military and Bradley Morris, our official staffing firm that helps move retiring military vets into the corporate workforce. And we're excited to have you here, Joe. Joe, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you having me.
So, Joe, just so everybody online, and appreciate, I know you said you served 20 years, I think, was it the Marines?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I know everybody on here wants to say thank you for your service. I know, man, this is such an appreciative time, being able to live in a country that's free. And so we appreciate everything that you've done in your past and all the people that you represent. But share in about 60 seconds, just tell us about Joe, how you got to Recruit Military and what you do there.
Sure. So I grew up in the Lehigh Valley area of Pennsylvania, which, if you're not familiar, it's about an hour north of Philadelphia. Went off to college at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is in Daytona Beach, Florida, pursuing a career in aviation, which I have a family history of military aviators. Ended up getting accepted into a program for aviation with the Marine Corps. Got winged in '99, flew the Harrier for the Marine Corps for my first 10 years of my career. I spent a little bit of time on the UAV side with the drones, and then spent about 6 or 7 years on the tail end of my career in the recruiting environment, which, the collection of skill sets amongst those 3 functional areas within the Marine Corps led me to a career in staffing and recruiting for veterans only, passion for the product, and some good communication skills picked up through my 20 years in the Marine Corps has led me here in my 4th year, and still loving what I do.
So I have to ask you 2 quick questions before we jump into the questions everybody wants to talk about. So that first moment you took off on your first ride by yourself, I mean, what was that like?
Well, where that question immediately takes my mind is August of '99, first carrier landing in the A4, which I'm dating myself. Actually, turned 45 today, so I'm
Wow.
really dating myself.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. But when I came around to land on the ship for the first time, my left knee was shaking uncontrollably. I took my hand off the throttle for a split second just to push it down,
Right.
and I started shaking. So that was truly a memorable moment as far as firsts go.
And I'm sure when you landed it and you breathed, I bet you're like, all right, I want to go out and do that again.
Yeah, exactly. Once the first time is over, you never want it to end, but it was only 10. You only get 10 traps and 10 launches, and then they send you home.
Awesome, man. So, and the second question is, so we talked a little bit about this before we got on. So who listens better, military personnel or your kids? I know it's a challenge.
Depends on what the incentivization is.
Right. Exactly. Well, hey, enough about a little bit of kidding. So, hey, so let's talk military staffing today. So I know when I talk to a lot of people about military veterans and hiring them, they always think gray hair has been in there 25, 30 years and not a lot of youth in there. But I mean, I've come to understand that a lot of military veterans are younger, actually under 30. So share with us kind of the demographics of the pool that our members have an opportunity to tap into.
Sure. And I'm going to flip on my screen share and kind of just set the scene here real quick.
Awesome.
So there's about 21 million veterans in the U.S., and you can see there's about 6 million that are age 49 and younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the 1.4 million that are on active duty at any given time, you have about 206,000 getting out annually. So this is it's a very small but very talented pool of individuals. And to your point specifically, when you take a look at the average girl or a guy getting out, 24 years of age, high school education, picked up a skill set in the military, can be anything from cook to legal assistant to electrician, heavy vehicle mechanic, and they were making about 50 to 60 a year. That's going to be about 40 in base. Right. And then if you think about all healthcare, retirement contributions, and things of that nature, the total comp for one enlistment, you're getting out making roughly 50 to 60 a year. Right. So that's your profile of your basic girl or guy getting out of the military today.
Gotcha. So when they come out, the workforce right now, we're 3.5% unemployment or close to it. The competition for workers today, because we don't have enough of them in the marketplace because of demographic shifts that are going on. So what about when veterans enter the marketplace? How competitive it is when they come out?
Yeah, and to your earlier point when we were chatting before we jumped on the call, it's supply and demand. And there are tons of great opportunities, and there's a smaller amount of veteran candidates. And when you think about the fact that Recruit Military manages a talent pool, Recruit Military and Bradley Morris manages a talent pool of about 1.5 million nationally. And the bulk of our candidates are OEF, OAF veterans. Mm-hmm. So OEF, OAF veteran unemployment is at 1.6%.
Wow.
So we have candidates in their job search that are evaluating 5 to 6 different offers. So it's definitely a candidate market, and it's the time, effort, and cost to land a candidate in this environment. It goes up because there's less.
So how long is a candidate when they leave the military and then out in the marketplace? How long are you average seeing them before they are in a job? Is it immediate or is it months or weeks?
It all depends, because the going advice in the military is start your job search 4 months out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a little bit of a misnomer, because most veterans, they envision themselves getting out and working for some type of large government organization or contractor. It's just kind of, it's an intuitive next step,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the perception. Um, most of those organizations, they don't want to talk to you until you're 120 days out from your first day of work. However, if you are looking to a different path, like there's small companies out there that are planning for expansion 4 states away, and they're going to need somebody there 8 months from now.
Right.
So if you're starting your job search a year out, you might be able to lock in one of those opportunities. And they call it the transition pack straps, like that weight of the transition and getting a job. They call it
Mm-hmm.
popping the transition pack straps, because I got hired by Recruit Military 9 months before my retirement date.
Wow.
So I never felt that pinch of, oh, it's a week to go before I get out and I still don't have a job,
Right.
because I started the process early.
Right.
Now, so the timeline can vary, but once we get a girl or guy in our process, sometimes, we have them at one of our events and hired, it could be as short as 10 days if everything is clicking and the right opportunity is presented to the right candidate.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about, or just give a hint. So when most military veterans come out into the workforce, because I mean, you can't stay unemployed very long unless you've packed some of your money away. Do you find that most are needing a job right away, or are they taking weeks? They have the money to take for the weeks, until they find the job.
Yeah, it's going to depend, because if you're familiar with the term terminal leave,
Yeah.
so if you had 60 days of leave what saved up before you either exited the military or retired, that last 60 days you're not working, but you're still getting paid, because you're just
Right.
basically burning through unused leave time.
Yeah.
Now, some guys and girls will take that as a vacation. Others will look to target to start work the day they go on terminal leave.
Right.
And then, you always have a handful that are going to feel that heightened sense of urgency, where they'll wait till all that's over and then start their job search. It's really, maybe they have a spouse that's the breadwinner in the house and they have a little bit more
Right.
flexibility. It's really going to be situational dependent.
Okay. Awesome. So, because I know the shorter amount of money you have, obviously, the more motivated you are to find work quickly. Didn't know how long most of them took to find work. So now they're out and about. I know most people, when they think of military veterans, they think of people that shoot guns. They think of people who drive tanks, do warfare, protect. But break it down and connect the dots to what are the skill sets that these veterans are bringing to the marketplace on a day-to-day function. I mean, our members are heat treaters. They're a manufacturing plant. They're working furnaces. They're big into, obviously, machines, furnace operators, maintenance, mechanic. So talk about the skill sets that they will bring to the table to any particular member that's out there looking at what they want to do.
Sure. So I shared my screen again, and I think that this chart that breaks down in a general way the different types of skill sets that you're going to see resident in military personnel. And I think the biggest takeaway, other than there's going to be some, just direct skill set translation, electronic and electrical equipment repair, machine operator and production,
Mm-hmm.
transportation and material handling. But overall, 85% of these roles have a direct civilian equivalent. Now, there's always going to be OJT and proprietary stuff and how company A does their stuff.
Sure.
But the general skill sets are there. And then the other 15%, the combat specialties, the guys and girls who operated some type of a weapon system, what we tell the clients that we work with is that these are talented individuals, focus on their leadership ability, and they often represent the cream of the crop.
Right.
And it's going to take a couple of more conversations to figure out where they might fit within an organization. But again, the takeaway is the direct civilian equivalent of most jobs, and also some direct skill set translation from what you guys do and your family of companies do within your group to what the veteran has in their tool bag coming out.
So talk about a little bit about the thought we talked a bit about before we got on the webcast. Leaders and followers. I mean, they're coming out of the military, and that is a natural environment. So when they get in the private workforce, what's kind of the transition for them in being a great worker who knows how to follow direction versus obviously someone who knows how to lead?
Yeah, so about 30% of the military population is going to be your officer population, which, they're going to be doing the preponderance of the big picture leadership type of things at the unit and organization level. But that is not to detract at all from the staff, non-commissioned officers, and senior enlisted that are really the guys driving, the ponies day to day and accomplishing the organizational goals at the tactical level. And both types of leadership styles and capabilities are extremely valuable. And not only that, it's just natural. Like if you ask for a veteran to take charge of a work center with 11 people, and every day they have to accomplish A, B, and C, that's a very natural transition for somebody coming out of the military. So when you talk about the intangibles of the veteran candidate, because we get questions all the time, can you find us this? A diesel mechanic. Yeah, we can find that. Why do you want a veteran? Well, I don't know why I want a veteran. It's the reason companies pursue veterans is for those intangibles. If you don't care if it's a veteran or not, you can go to any of 100 staffing firms out there and they'll get you a great candidate. But if you want a veteran because of the intangibles they bring on top of the skill set, that's where we come into play.
Sure. Well, that is a nice segue. So we've learned a lot about, who they are, what they're looking for, what kind of skill sets they bring. So obviously connecting our members to one of your candidates. So talk to us about who is Recruit Military again, how they connected with Bradley Morris, and what's involved in hiring a military veteran when it comes to sitting down with you guys.
So the way I would capsulate Recruit Military and Bradley Morris is that there simply is not a talent acquisition function that we can't provide. And 2 years ago, we were separate companies. We were purchased by the same ownership group and co-branded. So now you have Recruit Military and Bradley Morris, and we offer a variety of product lines. And again, it can be tailored to meet any talent needs. And the most succinct way I can articulate that is on the Recruit Military product line, you're basically purchasing access to a pool of talent. You can come to events. You can post your jobs on our board. You can access our resume database and search for electricians or whatever skill set that you want. There's a flat rate cost, and you can hire as many candidates as you can successfully connect with and attract to your company. On the formerly, Bradley Morris side of the house, it is strictly placement services. So if you tell us you want a journeyman electrician that's going to make $25 an hour in Atlanta, Georgia, we will go into our database. We will source through, sometimes hundreds of candidates to find the top 6. We'll present them to you for an interview. And then if you end up hiring them and they make it through your evaluation period, which is, usually about 90 days, then some type of a placement fee exchanges hands.
Correct.
And if you think about all that daily nug work that we're taking off that HR team's plate and putting it onto our plate, to get a skill set match candidate on the first time, that's where the real value comes in.
Right. Well, and I know MTI has a nice break. Y'all worked with us to have a nice break to provide some savings on that front end fee. So that's something that members can check into with us. So you talked about events. So there's a number of different pathways, 2 parts here. a number of different pathways for members to tap into your pool. So talk about the events. Where are they located? How could they find out about them if they would like to see if there's any in their area?
Sure. Going back to my capture of Recruit Military and Bradley Morris's mission and capabilities, we do 150 events a year. We get about 240 candidates through the door on average. We do off-base events. We do on-base events. We did Fort Bragg this week. 600 candidates came through our event over a 2-day span. And if you think about just that event and the talent that was in that 600, there were probably dozens of mechanics, dozens of electricians, dozens of blue collar, hands-on skill set types of girls and guys. And I think that's a great way to emphasize that capability. Then we also offer virtual events.
Yeah.
So again, we offer any way to connect with veteran talent that fits your recruiting structure, your budget, etc.
And where do they find out about where these are so they can connect with them?
Recruitmilitary.com will basically provide you with any schedule, pricing, or event info that you could want.
So with it being so competitive, obviously it's a military veteran marketplace, which it's an employee marketplace, period. What are military veterans looking for in companies that they're going to work for? I think that's important for our members to understand. What are they going to be looking for? What should a company be looking to expect?
Well, compensation is always going to be, an important part of the conversation. But, other than that, veterans are, looking for a culture match. Because even if you spend 4 years in the military, which is, more than, most of the population, like one enlistment is it's still highly valued.
Mm-hmm.
You probably were exposed to some leadership styles and bosses that you liked, and maybe some that you didn't feel was a great cultural fit. So it's not like your typical college grad that's coming out. Like, veterans are aware of culture, both good and bad, so they seek that. And they also are used to an environment where there's a defined promotion path and a defined training path. Like, if I stay in for 2 years and I pass these 3 exams, I will get promoted to the next rank. So that type of upward mobility structure, along with the compensation, are all pieces of the puzzle that a lot of veterans indicate. And what I have up on the screen is the ISIMS report from 2017, which ISIMS it's a applicant tracking system. It's one of the top out there, and they just aggregated data from thousands of veteran applications and surveys to collate these down into the top 3 things that would attract them to a company.
Right. Awesome. So it's important for members to have a training program, a training culture. We offer that very succinctly in our operation, but they would be expecting to get really good structured training to help them move through that process. I would take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And two key points I just want to circle back on real quick. This infographic that we have up here, it says attract them to a company or veterans to a company. Right. And I just think it's so important, everything that we do, and collectively, everybody on this call, we're trying to attract veterans to opportunities. So in a 1.6 unemployment market, how do you stand out? And I think that is one of the things that we do well as a tertiary value, is that if you come to one of our events, we're putting the spotlight on companies that are looking to attract veterans.
Right.
And, on the contingency side, if a candidate is working with a Recruit Military recruiter to try to get them into your job, we're another person advocating for the veteran to select your company over somebody else, because we're speaking the language. We're 85% veteran. We're pointing out the small, compensation values that are reflective of the same types of benefits they enjoyed in the military, and some not, like company car, company cell phone, things like that we're helping them translate the value and also appreciate the organization.
Right. So one of our members just asked a good question. So they're seeing this great data. Is this the document that you had sent to me to send to members, or is this something you could send to me that we could pass on?
The report that I had up on my screen is the one that I sent you.
Okay, great. So for Doug, Scott, and anybody else listening out there, we'll make sure to email that on here. It'll be actually posted on our website. If you go to heattreat.net and click on benefits, military staffing, that's the page for Bradley Morrison Recruit Military. This will be linked on that page by the end of today, so you can go out there and see that. Well, that's great. So now we talked about the events. Talk to me about geography. I know a lot of people wondering, well, what if somebody's retiring in New York, but he has any of our members can interview anybody from anywhere, because doesn't the government provide assistance to get them to a location, or no?
Yeah, it's a yes and no question, because what we're talking about here is every service member that transitions out of the military, they get one paid move to get them from their last duty station back to their home of record or where they entered the service from.
Okay.
So if you're talking to a candidate that is transitioning out, they're going to have that relocation assistance available. If you're talking to somebody who has been out of the military for a while, they're not going to have that. So
right.
It's definitely case by case.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds good. So what? Oh, go ahead.
The only other thing I want to add to that is, when you're talking about the veteran candidate, that number that we looked at, 206,000 that are transitioning out annually, 60% of them are going to move back home.
Right.
Now, that's not an all-encompassing statistic in and of itself, because you're always going to have those veterans that are a mobile family, or the girl or guy that's single, no kids, that will go anywhere they find an opportunity that's appealing to them.
Right.
But if there is a candidate population that is mobile and used to moving around, it's definitely veterans.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when people are looking to talk to me a little bit about the contingency side. Someone you identify a candidate, or you're identifying candidates for our members. Talk to us about the process. They say, Joe, we have a need for a maintenance manager in our operation. We'd like you to locate that. What's the process when you get that information to the moment when they actually hire that candidate? So members have an expectation of how many candidates would you be looking at, what would you pull from, and what can they expect to happen from the day that they hire?
So what I pulled up on our screen is the target hire process, formerly of the Bradley Morris exclusive product line. But as you can see in the infographic here, this process is going to happen over 10 days. So we're going to evaluate the role for potential success, and this is if not tied for second, the most important part of the process. This is where we're really having a candid conversation about the location, the shift, the actual job function, the pay, additional compensation. This is the information we're collecting that we're going to turn around and use to attract veterans to this role.
Right.
So if you want a third shift electrician, industrial electrician for 40 grand a year in an undesirable place to live, it's going to be tough for us to generate interest on that end. And then if we do generate interest, are we going to get that candidate to accept an offer over the 7 other offers that he has or she has, in her pocket? So this is evaluating the open role for success potential is a key part, because this is where we're laying out the menu and saying, who's going to come eat this? Is this an attractive, work compensation package for this company? All the other steps are really our recruiters going through our candidates, generating a profile, contacting candidates, getting a list of 70 and drilling it down to 6 or 7 candidates that have expressed an interest in working at your company in that capacity. And then, getting down to the last block there, the having both the company and Recruit Military agreeing on a process that's going to provide a pathway to success. And what I mean by that is that in this market, if you're taking 30 days to schedule you have a phone screen, and then if you're taking 30 days to schedule a site visit or a follow-on interview, that
Right.
candidate was gone 3 weeks ago.
Right.
So it requires commitment to the process that if we put somebody that's attractive to you in front of you, we should do our due diligence and work that candidate through the wickets to a hiring decision expeditiously, because in this market, these candidates they're just not around very long.
Well, I would think, because when you're hiring a generic candidate in any other capacity, you don't know what work environment they came from. When you're hiring from the military, you really have a good sense. They know how to follow, they know how to lead, they know how to work a very good structured environment and to a mission. And I would think that's what makes them so desirable.
And one thing I'd like to add here is that for companies, let's just say there's a company within your group that's never hired a veteran.
Right.
What we ask is that if we present a candidate to you and you look at their resume and you're like, I don't know if this person's a fit because of this, and this, we call it screening out by resume.
Mm-hmm.
We still encourage them to take an interview, because they're going to learn so much about the veteran candidate. And it still might not be a fit, but it's going to sharpen the aperture for the next interview and really help both sides drill down on exactly what the need is and what the perfect candidate looks like, because that's what we're driving towards, is we're trying to get you the perfect candidate.
Well, it's kind of like what I say in the interviewing process to most young people, is that even if you're in a good job, you're not looking for a job, but you're always interviewing, because your perception of how people perceive you is always always there. And I would assume it's the same, that you may not going to hire that candidate, but you're always learning through that candidate what you need to know to be a good place for the next candidate. So I see this matching candidates. I'm interested about what I see online. It says patented technology. What can you say about that doesn't give it away? I mean, I'm interested to know, what does that do?
It's basically a proprietary recruiting software system that we put the job order in, and then it scours the database and finds a match based on the best fit profile that we built. And that some of that is art and some of it is science, because the science is the matching technology. The art is if you present me with an opportunity, either me or the recruiter knows, you know what, they want an E5 from the Navy, or they want a fire controlman who did this, and this, or they want a 91 X-ray, which is an Army maintenance supervisor. It's kind of, getting the system off to a warm start based on experience, and then letting the matching technology do its thing.
Right. So with all that said, go ahead.
That doesn't preclude from the fact that once we identify those candidates, we still have to call them about 40 billion times until then have the conversation, generate the interest. So it's an important part of the process.
So now, with all that said, so what kind of separates, for people listening, and people are this is being videotaped, so it'll be shown by other people, seen by other people over the next week or so. So what really separates Recruit Military? I know you just talked about the patented software. What separates Recruit Military Bradley Morris from any other experience our members are going to see out there in trying to hire candidates?
Yeah, that's a great question. So two things on that. One is that Recruit Military was founded in 98. Bradley Morris was founded in 91. So what is that? Roughly a combined 50 years of industry experience, or probably more than that. But a lot of years in this business. So we are the trusted brand amongst veterans when it comes to job search assistance. The second thing, we have the most candidates.
Right. Well, that's great.
Recruit Military and Bradley Morris have the largest veteran-only candidate pool anywhere in the world. So I think that being the trusted brand among veterans and having a lot of candidates to offer, again, facilitating that access to a talent pool in whatever capacity that fits your need and your budget. That is what makes us different.
Awesome. That's something. Well, we are excited about our partnership. I know we've had a placement or two in the last year with y'all, and we've gotten great reviews on those. So members, I encourage you to really take advantage of this process. If you want to know more about Bradley Morrison Recruit Military, you can go to MTI's website at heattreat.net, go up to the benefits tab and click on military staffing, and everything you want to know about this relationship and about Bradley Morrison Recruit Military is there. And at the bottom, we even have a form that we worked with Bradley Morrison Recruit Military. You can click on and put in all your information of what you're looking for and the types of candidates you'd be looking for in the job description. And that immediately goes to Joe, and Joe then gets on the phone with you and starts working that process and pulls you into the process. So Joe, any of the last things you would want to say to our members in terms of the hiring process or them looking to recruit military veterans as they look out into what they need?